Tonight, the Highline Racing League visits a small circuit with a big reputation. This is the virtual Richmond Raceway, and the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series takes a trip down to the action track in Virginia. Welcome back to Richmond. This is the Holden Weiners 150, and it's going to be after an action-packed race in Atlanta, continuing with tricky tracks here, the 3/4 mile circuit here in Richmond, unlike any other, and it's time to get to know the circuit with qualifying on the move. 4 minutes remaining for drivers to take a time, and over 25 have registered to this point, with most of which on the track right now. Welcome back to FTN for our second broadcast of the day. I'm David Kreutz, producing and commentating alongside Alexander Balderas, and the racing action getting going once again with Terry Brooks on the provisional pole. Times are still coming all the way through. Alan Kunman gonna jump to the track, top of the charts, and right now qualifying is going to be an everlasting shuffle, and we're going to find out who gets a chance to start at the top of the board. Qualifying still on the move, many drivers trying to get their best laps in, and Alex, we're coming here to this short track, which is not a half mile but still a very short circuit with high speeds. If there's any track we can really compare it to, maybe it will be Iowa, which we went to 2 weeks ago. What do you think it's going to take for these drivers to figure out Richmond, one of the most unique short tracks in all of oval racing?
Richmond is a purely exciting racetrack, David, and it's one of those where it takes a lot to know how to master. The gaps between two people here at Richmond, you could be running half a tenth slower, and you're wondering why you're getting passed 3-4 times a lap. You have to be consistent, especially at Richmond, with how tight it is of a racetrack and how different it is, how much speed you can carry. That is all going to make the difference. Coming off of turns number 4 and 2, the exit gets tight, especially off of 2. People are going to hit the gas and not realize that that wall is coming up quick. And then off of 4, especially with this car, you're going to be sliding around the whole front stretch like it used to be. So it's going to be tough for these guys to learn.
And right now, drivers still taking extra laps to learn a bit more. Dylan Wedgwood, who's provisionally qualified in 20th, is taking extra times. And Kendall Kerr right now in the number 21 moves up to 12th. Casey Heschel going to jump up to 8th himself. As it stands, Corey Blevins is going to rocket up into the 2nd spot. And more drivers are trying to take their best times as it stands. Blevins is going to be a shock right now. He's a driver who is coming to his own. As it stands, his best ever finish in this league. He was a dominant driver at Bristol in season 15 and got it done there in the next-gen era. As it stands, he's going to be at the 2nd spot on the board and going to back it down once again. He's only 35 thousandths of a second off of the pole. Jimmy McKee going to be on the way in the number 48. He's going to be one of the several SP design machines, and he's going to be alongside Alan Kunman, his teammate on the pole, representing SP with a metallic blue. A lot of drivers bringing out special nighttime paint schemes, and McKee, one of which. At the line for Jimmy, it's going to be 15th on that first lap, and now going for his second timed lap. See that telemetry on the bottom of your screen, 125 miles an hour. He gets up to 138 before hitting the brakes and going back and forth on the throttle. Hits it just a bit, then gets going again. Almost no brake use except for the very early entry, and that's going to be a time that moves him up to 14th. It looks like with 50 seconds to go, no other driver really going to set themselves up to go for a lap. So with that being said, we do see just about every driver taking a time. The only one we're waiting on is Jacob Halm, and Dylan Wedgwood is still on the track.
And let me tell you, David, with 30 seconds left in qualifying, we may see a remainder of drivers try and set a hot lap. But right now, the grid looks to be Alan Kunman over Corey Blevins. Now, this top 4 has really been one to watch, and especially with the man we've been looking at ever since Iowa, Tyler Hampton. He's been up here fighting all season long, and he finds himself in that 5th spot starting off at Richmond, which track position is critical here, and that is a great place to start here tonight.
That being said, qualifying has concluded. 24 drivers take a time. Roberto Ramirez attempted to take laps. Didn't quite work out for him. Wasn't able to get a complete lap on the board. Qualifying has concluded, so without further ado, let's take a look at your starting grid for tonight's event. At the top of the board here in Richmond, it's going to be Alan Cummin just ahead of Corey Blevins in second and third place. Then in there is going to be DJ Stagner with Brad Kress, position number 4. It'll be fifth then in Tyler Hampton and Adam Bazzi in sixth, with seventh spot being Scott Wheeler and Scott Zellner, position number 8. Ninth spot is going to be Casey Heschel, and Terry Brooks concludes the top 10, and it's going to be Brooks just a few tenths off of your pole sitter to make up that 10th spot.
Couple of hot men we've seen here through the charges now. Dylan Poteet and Chad Winstead, they come up in 11th and 12th. Then it's Kendall Kerr and Jimmy McKee. These guys were really trying to make something work last week. Couldn't quite make it happen, but these guys are looking more than ever to make a charge back here in Richmond. Connor Holden there in the 15th spot, as well as Tyler Snyder and Matthew Rodriguez. Lucas Lodato is one of those we've seen try to cut up as well. Now, Ty Smith has had one of his best season openers and best season starts in Highline so far. He starts 19th, which you wouldn't think is very good, but it's Richmond and a lot of stuff can happen. Does he cut through the rest of this field? Then it's Kenny Brooks in 20th.
And it's going to be 21st and Andrew Baker and Toby Wedgwood in 22nd. 23rd, then going to be Dylan Wedgwood with 24th. Then Colton Gardner. 25th spot is going to be tonight Roberto Ramirez. To round out the starting grid, it'll be Jacob Hamm, the only driver in row 14. And the 76 will start at the tail end of the field to conclude the starting grid. Pace cars already on the track, and we are looking forward to 150 laps of racing. When the iRacing pace car gets going and the rest of the field does as well, we're going to see ourselves some great short track racing again. Last short track we went to, we mentioned it already, Iowa. Do you think there's going to be some principles here, Alex, that carry over and give us some similar style of racing?
Most definitely. Iowa is the closest track to Richmond, not geographically, but in terms of track. They're really close. You know, multiple lanes can be used at Richmond. We're going to see those first two lanes, the bottom and about a lane off, going to be used the most, especially that lane off the bottom. You know, when the tires start going, you need more of an arc in the corner. When it starts to get tight, that second lane is going to really be used. But don't discredit that third, fourth, and if you can fit it, maybe fifth lane. I don't think that's a real possibility. But that third lane might come into action later when trying to get more of a wider arc around the corner and see if you can cut down and straighten your exit to get a run down the back straightaway. If some of these tools are these guys are going to have to learn here, and lane choice means a lot at Richmond. Whenever you wrap the paint or that second lane, it really depends. You can really slow down the guy's exit if you're running that second lane, and you can really do some other stuff and fight back on the bottom.
Multi-groove racing, it's a staple here in Richmond, and Alan Cummin right now going to be the man at the top of the board. It's going to be Alan Cummin and Corey Blevins, first and second here. Cummin, a multi-time winner last season, your season 15 champion as well. He's a driver who knows exactly what it takes to get it done here when it comes to any track. Corey Blevins, his most recent victory came at a short track himself, with DJ Stagner and Brad Kress running right behind. Hampton and Bazzi, also very competitive drivers. We're seeing the best of the field once again rise to the top of the charts. With so many drivers we've already seen so consistently up in front, Cummin's going to have his work cut out for him, but he's got the track position advantage, and it is a huge deal. The SB Designs number 4 is going to lead the field as the pace car drops down a pit road. Green flag set to wave for the first time tonight. We're underway from Richmond. Welcome to the Holden Weiners 150.
And off to a great lead immediately. Alan Cunman is still over Corey Blevins with DJ Stagner in tow. Tyler Hampton makes up a spot. He's now 4th, trying to make up that spot for 3rd as he looks to the inside of DJ Stagner.
And all race, some early battles coming into play. Stagner going to be in third, but Tyler Hampton giving him that pressure. Single file out in front. Scott Zellner going to be side by side here with Adam Bozzi. Take a look there. You see Dylan Petit. Then there's going to be Terry Brooks, Chad Winstead right up in front. And as it stands, these drivers starting to get those 2x2 battles going. The 81 machine, that's going to be Connor Holden looking way down low. The 81 machine, bottom side, takes the spot. Winstead going to drop just a bit further back. At the line, bit of contact there for Jimmy McKee. Looks like he's going to be now fighting with Tyler Snyder. Stands, it's also the Hooters number 54 of Kenny Brooks trying to get away from this. Early going, everyone shuffling themselves out nicely. Your leader, Alan Kunman, gets away well. However, Corey Blevins is stuck right with them. And at the line, once again, your leaders take us through for lap number 5. Blevins now going to look to the inside and getting that charge for the race lead. An opportunity has arose, and now Blevins takes the bottom side as he approaches the top spot.
Blevins now looks to the inside, has that space on Alan Kunman, and he is able to make the move off turn 4, and he was getting close. But here comes the switchback. They're going to switch lanes, and they're going to try and shuffle each other up. And it gets to the better of Corey Blevins as he now tries to scoot away with the lead. Tyler Hampton moves up to third, trying to gain more positions as he cuts his way up to the lead. There's a battle there. DJ Stagner on that second lane, not doing so well, as Brad Kress to deal with as well, and Scott Wheeler Jr. behind him as well. These guys are all fighting for position as there goes Scott Wheeler Jr. That inside lane, he's going to wrap the paint and try and make that move on DJ Stagner. That second lane really hasn't started to come in yet, but that will come into effect later in the race. It may not look like it now, but that lane is going to be powerful. I'm calling it, David.
Right now, Scott Wheeler trying to make that inside line work. Stagner goes all the way up high, and it's going to be 2x2 up at the front of the field with Corey Blevins, your new race leader. As it stands, the 97 of Wheeler going to wiggle up top and give DJ just enough room to get by. Not going to make it any easier, though, as Stagner works up to the high side in the Ragin' Cajun machine. There's Scott Zellner as well. Zellner was a dominant driver last season, the season 16 champion, despite missing 3 races on the campaign, and he's once again back looking to get that championship swing. He was not the best driver in the first few races last season, but he became almost unstoppable for the second half onward. And as it stands, it's going to be Zellner down to the bottom side, looking way low. Take a look on board now with Zellner and see exactly what he's up to.
You can see here Zellner just getting right up to the back bumper of DJ Stagner. He wants to make that spot, and he wants to get that position now. But it's tough. You also have to realize that we have a 150-lap race, and it's only lap 10. You have to do 15 times this amount, and you also have to realize that patience is key here at Richmond because you don't want to burn up your tires too early. So knowing that he has a chance to make a move now and is sort of in the middle of this pack now, as there's a gap forming between the top 3 and the 4th place of Brad Kress, he also realizes that, it's early, and I have to wait to try and make a move, but he's hungry for it, and he's looking to the inside of DJ Stagner as he'll try and put a bumper.
DJ Stagner now going to see that pressure once again, working down to the bottom groove, and it looks like a bit of a deeper lunge this time by. A nice setup and a nice pass immediately thereafter. That's going to give Zellner another spot and move him up into 6th. Alan Cummins now going to be in 2nd, but Tyler Hampton coming right up as well. And Hampton, as it stands, going to be running in that 3rd spot just behind Alan Cummins. Tyler Hampton, one of the drivers we're already looking out for to continue his successful performances this season. He's already racked up with a checkered flag, and he's been there in podiums once again multiple times over. He's looking for another opportunity as we ride on board with the number 5, and you're seeing him right now catching up to Alan Cummin, a winner in only his 2nd career Highline Racing League event. When he came into Daytona, he already had a checkered flag in hand from last season, so he's built himself up quickly as a reputable driver up at the front of the field. I think we're going to see more of the same now as Cunman drops down to the bottom side. He looks to escape the clutches of Hampton and now try to fight Corey Blevins all at the same time.
I saw that move happening, David, and I don't know how well that's going to work out because now Tyler Hampton knows that Cunman is hungry. He wants that spot, and now he can apply pressure to the 4 machine in front of him. And Tyler Hampton's been one of those guys who's been starting to charge his way through this season, have a good couple of, starts here and there, maybe an off race there in the middle as well. But he's cut back so far, running third right now as they make a pass for the lead. He is sitting pretty right now at points as well. So I know in the cockpit of that number 5 car, he wants to win this race, but he also knows coming up in third would do great numbers for the championship points battle. Here comes Conman on the inside of Blevins, and it looks like he might come off the corner with it. And they're going to be side by side as they get across the line, entering turn 1 again. Hampton is now just barely in view here of the battle now in front of us, starting to come in closer and peek his nose in. But this battle for the lead is far from over.
It's still going to be side by side between Alan Kunman and Corey Blevins here. Blevins not going to give up on that middle groove, and the big thing that saves him every lap is that run down the front straightaway. As you might have noticed, akin to Iowa, there's a curve down the front stretch with some banking, so a driver like Blevins can use that momentum and carry it into turn 1. Just about 3/4 of this track are curved. The backstretch is all that's particularly flat. Then you go to 3 and 4, and if you're Corey Blevins right now, you ride all the way up to the high side, coming out into the front straightaway, and with that momentum, then you can go into turns 1 and 2 and take another turn in, and with all the momentum you built up through the past half lap, you pull it through once again, then take it down the back straightaway, and as such, Blevins is your race leader with no troubles maintaining it for the time being. Further on back, Matthew Rodriguez now going to be fighting with the number 81 of Connor Holden, and these drivers who are in the middle of the field are very close to each other as well, but not many side-by-side battles brewing. The closest right now looks to be Dylan Poteet and DJ Stagner. As it stands, Stagner going to be up to the top side and loses 2 spots at once. Just like that, it's going to be the number 31 Menards machine that makes it by in 8th. Casey Heschel then in 7th. Single file again. Looks like another driver dropping back is Kendall Kerr, but even Kendall now trying to take a piece. As it stands, you see there the 21 of Kendall Kerr looking to make something happen, and he'll charge down to the bottom side as the Raging Cajun stays up top.
Well, I'm watching this battle here right now between our leaders, Corey Blevins and Alan Kunman, David. And Kunman now, he looked to the inside and was battling him out for a couple laps after Blevins had made a mistake, just overcooked it on the brakes, and it looks like he does it again. He's going to get into him, and the 24 is sliding across the racetrack. He saves it in front of Kunman. They're going to be side by side going down the back straightaway.
And just like that, Kerr gets away. All the while, you're going to see some troubles up in front. Look at Corey Blevins and Kunman back in the wall again. The number 4 now shaken up but once more, and up high, there goes the SP machine. Find that opportunity, just can't make it stick, and although he's got the lead, you can see a bit of damage compounding there on the right side. So for Alan Kunman, he's going to start looking at the damage there, trying to assess the situation. He got away luckily last time by, but Tyler Hampton now making the most of it, and he'll move up to 2nd. Take a quick look there for the number 5 of Hampton in the runner-up spot. All of a sudden, it's now going to be the number 4 and 5 respectively, the duo up ahead. Tyler Hampton now going to be 2/10 of a second away, as Alan Kunman is the driver who pulls through with the lead again.
Well, this could be a repeat of Iowa, David, and I know Hampton wants to finish that 1 spot better. Being able to be 2nd up here this early on lap 25 is going to be a key moment that I know he wants to be able to keep for the rest of this race. Track position, big thing here at Richmond, and it's no surprise that this top 3 have all shuffled around, but they haven't left the top 3. These guys have been at the top 3 the entire race, but now that 4th place car of Brad Kress starting to look in on the fight as well, as Corey Blevins seems to be slipping back into the hands of the number 9 machine and Scott Wheeler Jr. as this pack starts to catch up to the 3rd place car.
Scott Wheeler also coming up here with Brad Kress in that number 9, and you're looking at Kress, who's currently running just within the clutches of the top 5. And tonight for Brad Kress, much different paint scheme from what he's doing most often. And for that number 9 team, it's a tribute paint scheme tonight, running a Dale Jr. scheme for a friend of his who passed away the past week. So it's going to be racing for tonight. And you can see there, Kress looking down to the inside on Corey Blevins, and he'll lunge in low once again. Brad Kress tonight, a much different look, but of course for a good cause here. Dale Jr. throwback in memory of a friend. There, he's running very well tonight, trying to keep that pace up ahead of Scott Wheeler and just ahead of him, Corey Blevins. Right back there, you also see Terry Brooks in the 23. Adam Bozzi is the final man inside the top 10. And see, there's the number 31 of Dylan Poteet just ahead of him. Maybe Bozzi going to try to look for some moves to be made here. Last time we saw Adam Bozzi win last season was at Martinsville in a chaotic race, to say the least. It was nothing like the opening stages of this one. But either way, maybe some drivers with short track prowess set to come alive as Casey Heschel dives pretty deeply and gets back in order quick enough to not have many troubles.
Well, this middle pack has started to now shuffle in position, and now a gap opens up again on that third place car of Corey Blevins now as he leads his own little pack, as Hampton is just behind the rear spoiler of Alan Kunman. Now the 24 leads the 9, and Scott Wheeler Jr. as well as this train of cars looks to try and make up some spots here as we're on lap 31 of 150 here in Richmond.
Now, with these drivers so early bundled up, we're already going to begin talking strategy here, and this is something we discussed early on in Iowa, and I think that mentality already coming into play for these drivers. 31 laps in out of 150, and if this is to say the same, we might see a two-stop strategy develop, but if drivers can stretch it 25 laps longer than the lap 50 marker, that gets us to 75 and gets us to the halfway point. So perhaps there's an opportunity for a one-stop strategy if these drivers push it to their absolute limits, but one driver looking for a move to make is Tyler Hampton. He'll go down to the bottom side here on Alan Kunman and looks low, trying to get that lunge in for lead. Didn't quite work out then and there, but already showing signs he wants to make something happen. Same goes for Brad Kress. Kress out of the inside line with Corey Blevins here. That's going to be side by side for third, and as they go 2 by 2 out of the second corner, they'll make it into 3, one and the same. Make it around the final time to the start and finish line. That will take him to lap number 34. Kress still has the bottom, but the overall advantage, I think, is still in Corey Blevins' hands here. High, where it's Brad Kress opts to hold low, and coming across the stripe yet again, it looks like it's going to be Blevins, the man still on the podium, while the top two drivers begin to break away even further. Kendall Kerr down at the bottom side here on Terry Brooks, and the mid-pack beginning to battle each other a little more fierce, shall we say, for each position. And with tire strategy coming up, you want to get yourself in a nice spot to go down a pit road without losing big time. Because if we get that green flag pit cycle, the entirety of the field is going to be separate. You don't want to be caught out and maybe caught up in an incident. The higher up you are in position before that first pit stop, the better the rest of your race will be.
Yeah, Blevins made a mistake, and that was how Brad Kress was able to slot his nose in. Wasn't able to make the move after battling there for a couple laps. Good defensive strategy by the number 24 car. He's able to hold off Brad Kress, but not for long, as he will use the bumper. He's going to tap the back of Corey Blevins. These two are going to be bumper to bumper, nose to bumper off the end of turn number 4 as we start a new lap. These guys are hungry for those positions now, as lap 37, things have started to take a toll on each other. Lower fuel, tire wear started to become really in effect now, and right off the bumper is Corey Blevins and Brad Kress. These two have been rubbing up against each other for the past couple laps or so, but don't forget, this top 4 pack has some good names. We have Scott Wheeler Jr. and Casey Heschel there in the mix as well. These guys looking to make some spots as those top 2 continue to roar away. This top 4 back here wants to make up some spots, and they want to make it up now. As here goes Brad Kress to the outside. Looked like he had a bumper, and off of turn 4, he will get the run. They're going to be side by side across the front stretch as they go back into turn number 1. Going to be side by side. Kress has that high side, gets off of turn 4, is going to get the run and that momentum, which will carry him 2, 3, and 4. This is what I was saying, David. That second lane going to really work into effect, and he just has to make the move stick. Off of turn number 4, give it to the number 9.
Right now, Brad Kress going to get himself up into the podium. Corey Blevins going to fade back just a bit, and you're seeing the battle just behind here. In addition, it's going to be Casey Heschel and Scott Wheeler, as Alan Cummins is falling very far down our timing pylon, and it looks like he'll just get back in. That's a big blink, though. You might have seen him fall he did not have an incident. That was just internet connection troubles. However, look back to Casey Heschel and Scott Wheeler here. For Heschel, he just got by Wheeler, and he's going to be in 5th now. That time by, he ran a 23.349, and if you look at his last 4 laps, he has been just about on par with the race leader, which is more than what other drivers can say here. While others are fading back, Heschel has been just about toe-to-toe with the man up in front in Alan Cunman. So I think KC's going to have a lot of opportunity here to make it by Corey Blevins. 24 machine going to try to defend, as most drivers are using the bottom side. It's been very tricky to make that second groove work now. The track really not developing the way a lot of these guys would have expected, but for others, you got to make that second groove work. Scott Zellner up high with Dylan Potitis. It's going to be Adam Bozzi in the Queen City Racing 27 down low. Bozzi remains on the bottom. Not much else he can do right now, trying to keep it intact. But it looks like Zellner, with that momentum up top, will prevail, and he's got Dylan Poteet helping him out here. Not a lot of drivers were making that bottom side work up in front, but Alex, there's a bit of a difference when we look further back. You think there's anything in particular causing that sort of difference in attitude?
Well, it's a difference in attitude as Dylan Poteet is going to slide down the racetrack. They're going to be 3 wide entering turn 1, and he will lose a few spots there. But, you know, it's a difference in strategy. Not only that, it's a difference in mindset. If you know that you want to save your tires, you're going to just sit on the bottom and paint that yellow line. But if you want to make up spots now during this midsection of the run, you're going to try and use that outside lane. You're going to try and get that run off the corner, see if you can carry that momentum. And if you can send it in hard enough into the corner, you might be able to make up the spot. You also have to realize that that's going to take a wear on your tires, and that's going to take away some of that life you may have later in the run at maybe a more crucial moment. So some of these guys being aggressive and wanting to make up spots this early might have to pay the price later.
Dylan Poteet right now, you saw him get that big wiggle. He's going to fade back into 11th here. Not going to help him in his pursuit of the top 10. Kendall Kerr, though, going to inch his way back through with DJ Stagner, and DJ makes it back in 8th. All of a sudden, Scott Zellner's got some pressure, and the high side brigade is no longer with him. He's going to be on his lonesome in the second groove, and it looks like all of a sudden the standards all throughout the field are coming right back. Not going to be helping out DJ there in the slightest until he gets down low. Dylan, suffering the effects, moves into 11th himself. That moves Zellner back inside the top 10. Kendall Kerr now inside the single digits, and it's a big shuffle. As you see now, Jimmy McKee going to be racing with the 81 of Connor Holden. Chad Winstead right there as well, and the number 60 of Winstead trying to make something happen here, as he's going to be just behind this battle. Maybe going to be a little bit more time until he gets there. Tyler Snyder up in the wall, and he's now going to find himself with a bit of right side damage, but nothing too critical as he gets going all over again. Matthew Rodriguez in the number 51 going to be the man who bookends this second pack. It's going to be for about 12th to 16th. Not a lot of drivers, but they are close to each other, and as the leader battle has simmered down, these drivers are still fighting for every position. Now, in regards to the way they're racing, it's been very clean and respectful so far, but there's still some very tight battles. Lucas Lodato, after the race he had last week, where he was oh so competitive leading laps as he did the season prior, not the most exciting race for him here in Richmond. He's running in 21st, and he's side by side with Toby Wedgwood, or rather now Kenny Brooks, as Wedgwood takes him 3 wide, and they're going to go 3 out of turn 4. Not good for Lodato. He's having a lot of trouble tonight, as he's going to be in a fierce battle at the tail end of this pack.
Yeah, these guys here at the end of the pack have not given each other an inch. It's been absolutely cutthroat racing between these two, and this group of people are not done racing yet. That outside lane trying to come into effect for a lot of these guys and trying to make up some spots early has not been the case. Chad Winstead loses a spot to the number 87 of Tyler Snyder. And you know, I had a feeling that Chad Winstead might be a little slower to opening this race, but he's really had his race there in the bottom half of the top 15. I don't know, what's been going on with him in this race. Maybe it's just the lack of open air. He's been in the middle of the pack. He's had that dirty air and been able to really convert on any position so far. Wondering on what his game plan might be, especially for these guys this far back in the pack. I don't think I would try and go for it and try and, get as many spots as I can before the pit stop cycle and wear my tires down. But I also don't know if I would super save, because that wouldn't do me any well being this far behind.
And we're looking at the numbers, as you mentioned. Hasn't really been able to confirm any positions on the night. He's not converted up. He's actually gone down. A high of 12th to start the day. He's now down to 16th. So for Winstead, not really the night of successes he's been expecting. And Winstead, I don't know what else he's got left in him. As it stands, still going to be just within the confines of the top 15 after a wiggle there from Connor Holden, sending him back into the 17th position. One battle that's beginning to get closer and closer, Wheeler and Corey Blevins. Now it's going to be Scott down at the bottom side and Corey Blevins right up top at the line again. It's still Blevins with a minor advantage, but the edge might be in Scott Wheeler's favor as he goes through the corners. That cornering line, always so good down on the bottom, and Wheeler's got it. Quite frankly, Corey Blevins does not. So we'll see whether or not he makes that second groove go just a bit better. But time being, Corey Blevins is going to have to hang on until about lap 75 if he wants to go for that one-stop strategy, which I think everyone is eyeing right now, given how good we've gone through the earlier portions of this race.
Yeah, and I'm knowing here about it, this stage of the race, people are going to start complaining really heavily about their tires. People are going to start smacking that outside wall in turn 2, especially as they don't realize that the lack of grip they have is going to contribute to them sliding up the racetrack and coming up close to that wall as Dylan Poteet scrapes the entire front stretch wall. He won't lose a spot, I don't think, but he scraped the whole thing going down the front.
And Dylan's still going to be there inside the top 10. I'll tell you this much, Terry Brooks has gotten a bit closer, but still not finding the room. And we'll see whether or not any of that right side damage, which is beginning to become a bit more visible, doesn't look like anything crazy. It happens again. He'll scrape the wall once more, and that's really going to open up the room there for Terry Brooks to go down to the bottom side. All of a sudden, the Westlake 23 looking low, bringing Jimmy McKee right there with them. And McKee has actually made it up quite a few spots tonight. He's been from a low of 18th up to 12th, the highest spot he's been in, and now fighting to get inside the top 10. So for McKee, it's a game of gaining more and more, but for Dylan Poteet, he still has to defend despite slamming and tearing the wall down multiple laps in a row. And at the tail end of the lead pack, there's Kendall Kerr and Adam Bozzi going at each other. They're going to be 8th and 9th as we keep it going.
Adam Bozzi trying to make up some spots now, just right behind the number 24 of Corey Blevins. DJ Stagner in the mix as well. These people have been in the top 5 so far most of this race, and after a couple of shufflings out, they find themselves in the bottom half of the top 10. Moves being made. Scott Zellner looking to pass the number 1 machine of Tyler in the mix with Terry Brooks as well. Tyler J. Snyder looking in the field. Chad Winstead also as well, as Dylan Poteet going to slide again down the front stretch. This backpack has really started to clump up and close together. But one thing is for certain, Tyler Hampton has stayed up close with our leader, Alan Kunman, and he is not going anywhere. They have opened a gap to Casey Heschel, and beyond that, the gaps are ever increasing. One thing that has decreased is the gap between our two leaders. I'm telling you, David, going down to the line, our leaders are really going to give us a good show and a good run for their money, as I know Tyler Hampton is going to want to win on this season, and this is basically Iowa 2.0, and he has no better option to get the win than right now.
I tell you this much, Hampton, Kunman, both drivers we saw quick last time we went out to a short track in Iowa. It's no surprise that a lot of the drivers who are up here. Heschel, I'll tell you that much, that's another expected driver. Kendall Kerr and Jimmy McKee, the Blacktop boys, they're coming to their own. They're running inside the top 10 now, so I'm not surprised at all to see either of them. Some lap traffic, the first of which is Jacob Hamm, and the 76 having some struggles now. 1 lap down, the only driver of which off of the lead lap. The next man to go 1 lap down would then and there be Ty Smith. He's in number 18 machine tonight, and as such, he is going to be the next man. Put one down. He's in 25th right now, and it looks like the leaders are coming up on him as we speak. So taking a look at that, it's going to be Alan Kunman going way down to the bottom side, taking the spot, and as such, leading at lap number 65. Alex, we are now within 10 laps of our pit cycle. I think we're going to see pit stops coming in very, very soon. What's it going to take for these drivers to make it happen, go down a pit road, and get the service that's going to definitely set the tone for the rest of the race?
Well, one thing we might see here is the undercut. With Tyler Hampton being so close to Alan Kunman, it might as well be very optimal. If you can't pass him on the racetrack, pass him off the racetrack. You want to be able to get that edge, that competitiveness. come down pit road a couple laps early, get on a fresh set of tires, and try and bang out a couple laps faster than the guy in front of you. It's a common strategy, but will they take it? These two are probably going to run till the end of the tank. I don't see them pitting any sooner, as it's going to be an even split almost halfway, as we're going to come up here in just a few laps. Begins our pit cycle as we're on lap 67. Tyler Hampton has been in about 2/10 range of Alan Cunman, our leader. Overall, this about whole race, they really haven't split up. Coming into lap traffic now, but this pack really wants to get the lead, and they want to get it now. Tyler Hampton is sitting pretty right behind Alan Cunman.
Now, as the leaders fly by our screen, you saw there, Zellner's going to come into pit road. Same for Matthew Rodriguez. And 67 laps in on a 68, we have drivers making it in. Same goes for Terry Brooks and Connor Holden. Now, with drivers coming through this time by, we're heading to lap number 69. And we're now going to be in the range for the drivers to go down a pit road. Alan Cunman leading nicely to this point, but not yet an opportunity to come in. He still has Tyler Hampton hot on his heels. I don't quite think he's going to come in just yet. I think the opportunity now for Cunman and Hampton alike is to stretch it long as they can, and try to go to make it so they can securely make it to the end of the race at lap 159. They've done a great job so far in this first stint of making everything happen cleanly, but I don't think they're going to settle right now. There's still 5 or 6 laps. They need to go minimum to really lock it up and make sure that second stint is a success. Slowly but surely, drivers are inserting themselves back onto the circuit again. You see Connor Holden in the number 81, 1 lap down right now based on the pit cycle, and as such, he's going to definitely get an opportunity to get back on the lead lap later in the going.
Caution is out on the racetrack during green flag pit stops. There's a car outside turn 1, the 51 hard into the outside wall. He is stopped on the high side. This will mix up everything.
Matthew Rodriguez, the man involved there. Yellow flag is out, and we've got trouble when we least expected it. Now, just about halfway through this race, huge troubles for the 31, the 51 as well, and now we're going to find out what in particular caused it. Here's an instant replay. Let's find out what gave way to the trouble for Rodriguez as he went spinning. Looks like he was there, but Lucas Lodato got by him quickly, and then from there, the troubles persisted. Going to the front straightaway, Rodriguez going to be on his own. Then coming into turns 1 and 2, he got loose. I think it was just no heat in the tire, and he went in the same way as before, and he gets destroyed. The back end is all but gone.
Yeah, it's pretty tough day for all the Matthew Rodriguez fans out there, as he completely junked the rear end of the car. But now, people that were thinking of coming in for green flag pit stops, things might be shaking up now, as the people who did will stay out. Now, it's Alan Cunman versus Hampton down pit road. Who will have the faster pit stop? They both go into their pit stalls 5th and 1st respectively. So these guys really having good pit stops. Now, the best pit box out of any of these guys, Cunman, hands down. Straight shot out of pit road. Doesn't have to hold at speed. Just put her down and get out of the pit box. But as we see Hampton, he now leaves his pit stall as well. It'll be a tight battle, but Cunman going to win the battle off pit road. DJ Stagner in the mix as well, after we saw him not being so far in there, as Casey Heschel also in there as well. All these top 4 or 5 guys who have exited pit road have been in the top 4 or 5 this whole race, but a couple of mix-up as we see the return of DJ Stagner in the number 64 SP Designs car.
Stagner now going to be 4th, as you mentioned. Heschel, Hampton, Cunman, a familiar trio up in front who we saw successful in Iowa, are once again ahead of the field. 74 laps in out of 150. We should be coming back to green at lap number 76. So about halfway into this one, we're going to get back at the green flag, and the second half will be moments away from coming alive. Now, the field is once again going to be single file. Everyone getting out of pit road. A few anomalies here. Colton Gardner in the number 40 is now getting his first pit stop in. He's been on for a 74-lap run, and as it stands, he's going to be there in 19th, getting back on the way. Still seems to be on his original tire set, so I don't know what he's going to plan to do about this. He's going to stay on it because he's in the back of the field already. Everyone else has gone in for at least 1 pit stop per tire, and absolutely everyone has gone in for 1 service stop with 1 lap to green. Alan Cunman now going to be making it around with 2 laps to go. And with that being said, your leading driver going to have to wait as these lappers get back on the move.
Well, we've had a field mix-up here. Tyler Hampton has moved up to second, but a lot of these guys who pitted elected to kind of stay out. And if I was them, even though we've had this caution, I'd come down pit road, fill up the tank, just to make sure I can make it to the end. Because what you don't want, especially at a short track, is to run out of gas, especially on the last lap. That's going to be tough for these guys. During the Iora race, in fact, when that caution came out during I believe the middle of the race, I was about to come down pit road and have 0.2 laps to the gallon, and when that caution came out, I had to stay out, and that almost ran me out of gas. I almost had to ask Brandon Dugan for a help to push me back to pit road, was able to slide back in, and that's something these guys have to be worried about, is that if this does go green to the end, it's going to be trouble for a lot of guys who haven't really been paying attention to that fuel gauge, especially when it comes up in the later laps.
Now it's going to be Alan Kuhlman once again in control. Tyler Hampton, who made his way up from 5th to start the race, up now into the 2nd spot. The best chance he's had all race long to get the lead from a level footing. Coming through this time by, it's going to be the green flag out for Kuhlman, leading the way, and the second half of the race is on its way indeed.
Casey Heschel now aggressive start to try and take that second position, is now under fire from the 64 DJ Stagner. Hampton clears the number 49 car, as now third will do battle again, side by side coming off of turn 2.
Kuhlman going to get that lead, and the battles behind are getting more and more intense. You look back now, Ken Locher going to be there just ahead of Corey Blevins, and Blevins now going to be side by side with Tyler Snyder. He just got the pass there on Snyder. As it stands, that's going to move Blevins up into 11th here. Going to be single file for the most part. You see Chad Winstead there with Roberto Ramirez. And how about Ramirez, one of the drivers who started outside of the top 25, now in 14th. And maybe with an opportunity to go for the top 10. This pit stop was a big gain for some drivers, of course a big loss for others. However, right now for a driver like Ramirez, it's a huge opportunity to improve his race as the FOE 42 runs side by side here with Snyder. Most of the rest of the field, they're single file. Maybe there's a chance now to see more drivers getting aggressive, but Alex, after the first caution, maybe there's a bit of a mentality shift.
Well, after that first caution, these guys are going to come down pit road during that. That was in the middle of the green flag pit stop cycle. But it may be different for some of these guys now. Because of that, Tyler Hampton was able to be the aggressor and take away the lead, and now he has a gap forming. And this is something we've seen out of him. Once he gets that lead after sitting behind him meticulously, letting the laps wind down and ticking down lap after lap after lap, he will be able to get to the lead, and I think he'll be able to stretch it. So far, 6/10, almost 7 above Alan Kuhlman. That gap is outstretching itself, and he wants to be known in the Highline Racing League as a threat for the championship. What a perfect way to do it. Crossing the line, lap 83 out of 150, and the gap is now almost a second. 0.8 entering the corner, entering 1. Coming off the corner, it's almost 0.9.
Tyler Hampton making waves here, and he's got 2 former champions behind him. DJ Stagner, the Season 10 champion, and Alan Kuhlman, the Season 15 champion, both running inside the podium, but no match so far for Hampton on this run with 67 laps to go. A majority of the field right now going to be running nicely single file in this orderly fashion, setting themselves up for the final laps of this race as the Westlake Premier Series keeps things going. We'd once again like to thank our premier partners at the Highline Racing League, the Westlake Royal Building Products, and Admin Box for their continued support of all FTN broadcasts and the Highline Racing League itself. As it stands, there are 66 laps to go, and we will be right back after messages from the Highline Racing League's premier sponsors, Westlake and Admin Box.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
63 laps remain. The Raging Cajun still fighting Alan Cummin as it stands for the race lead. Of course, it's Tyler Hampton ahead, but the battles from second on back are still close. You're watching the Holden Weiners 150 live on FTN, and currently, as we come across the line once more, it looks like Tyler Hampton has all but checked out. The rest of the field still going to be racing fiercely here, but it looks like it's been more of a stalemate ever since that first caution flew. Every driver is still on the track, including Matthew Rodriguez. All 26 that took the checkered flag have kept moving since that point. A lot of guys who are very close to each other, but nobody really making that move. And I think the aggression has really died down since that first incident, and we've just kept going ever since. Now, trying to get to the very later stages of this race and get ready for the real fight up in front. Casey Heschel getting closer now to DJ Stagner and Alan Cummin. An opportunity for him to maybe break through in the podium?
You know, I think there might be. A lot of these guys have really tried to... Oh, a caution's out of the racetrack again! Another caution out on lap 91, and that, I believe, is something Tyler Hampton did not want to see at all. Had gotten to over 1.5 second lead, was really starting to go into his own, and the caution comes out again. He mentioned himself that he is not much of a short pace kind of, short run driver, so that's the best short run he's had in a minute, and it's cut short.
Ozzy going to get contact there from Scott Wheeler. That's going to send Adam around. He will loop back up on the track, and that's the reason for your caution. Yellow flag is out as a result, and we are pacing once more. Looks like no major damage there for Adam Bozzi. Just like that, going to be another instance of a caution. Second of the day with 59 laps to go, and Tyler Hampton leads. Now, you mentioned you don't think he wants this here, so what's the call? Are they going to come down to pit road? Looks like your top three choose not to. The rest of the field is all coming in. Now, this is a big divide with 59 to go. Brad Kress leads quite a lot of company through, and now strategy at an impasse here as the caution flies. A majority of the field on pit road. Your leaders, not quite.
I can see this from the leader's perspective because knowing how much of a track Richmond really is, the passing can be made and passing can be done, but it's difficult. You don't see a pass happen almost immediately. The battle goes on for a couple laps, and that doesn't go well for anyone's tires. So with these guys being out front, they have that clean air, they'll probably reconcile with each other knowing that they really... Once the other guys come back into the pack, they are technically at a disadvantage because they have less rubber. Their tires are not as fresh as the people behind them. However, they are at a much higher advantage because of that track position. And if all of those three start scooting away and they don't battle each other and everyone else has to make up all those spots, I think the tires might even out, or at least they won't get as close as they think they're going to go. Because we only went about 20 laps or so green, a little bit more than that. So going now to about almost 55 laps to go, these guys are going to want to save a set for that end of the race. Whenever you go to the end here at Richmond, if you don't have a set, it's painful, let me tell you that.
Now, if they are to save a set, I think they're going to want to caution with the next 30 laps or so. As it stands right now for Tyler Hampton and company, the only 8 drivers, or now 7 drivers, that have chosen not to take new tires. They're going to be up there with a 21-lap older stint. And as such, I think if they're going to want a saving run where they have to keep the tires on and then get a caution, they'd want one within the next 30 laps. I think everyone will be forced to go down again, and the advantage would all balance out one more time. So for Tyler Hampton, Alan Cummin, DJ Stagner, Casey Heschel, and Scott Wheeler, that's your top 5, and Tyler Snyder, not to mention Toby Wedgwood. Those are your 7. who are trying something different. Now, I don't quite know whether or not for the drivers in the back of the field it's going to work out. They're more of the buffer, but for Kunman and Hampton in particular, I'm very intrigued as to how this is going to work out here. So, Alex, with that being said, I'd like to throw it back to you to ask the question. Do you think there's enough defense for these two drivers to maybe run away and keep on fighting?
Well, at the pace Tyler Hampton was going, this will give his tires a chance to cool down and stop the degradation process. Of course, it's still going to wear as he's going under yellow, minimal wear at best. They're going about a max speed of 60, maybe 70. So these guys are really going to have a chance to be able to slow down. But this buffer of cars who didn't pit as well in the lower half of the pack, that's going to be an interesting choice to see. We ran about 25 laps or so, a little more than that green, so the buffer between these guys is going to be tough. Like I said, passing doesn't happen immediately, so the people who did take tires are going to have a tougher time trying to get around some people, and if these leaders just go away, as I think they're going to do, it's going to be easy for them, David.
And now time to find out what it's going to take. Tyler Hampton down at the bottom, DJ Stagner up top. So Kunman's got faith in the number 5 and takes it down low instead. Green flags out yet again for the second restart of the day. Hampton gets the jump, and 96 laps in, we've yet again returned.
Passes being made already. DJ Stagner takes it over Alan Kunman. Casey Heschel there slots back into 4th. That is Tyler Snyder there. That's your top 5. As Tyler Hampton is starting to cut away from this field like he was before. Not as fast as he was earlier, but these two leaders are actually running some of the fastest average pace to the fastest sectors we've seen tonight. So these guys are still extremely fast regardless of what it may seem with how far we ran on tires and as it may seem right now, as some of the guys who did take tires are having trouble cutting through the rest of this field, David. And while they are making a spot, the first man I believe who pitted for tires is Brad Kress, and he's all the way down in 11. 9 more cars to go before he starts fighting for the lead, and by then he might have worn his tires to about the same as Hampton, or maybe even more.
Now, one thing I'm noticing is slowly but surely that defense layer is coming apart. Toby Wedgwood down to 13th. Scott Wheeler now going to be fighting here with Chad Winstead, but I think Winstead got away, and now he's breaking into the old fabric of these drivers who have the older tires. Tyler Snyder next up on his hit list, and he just took him right out for 5th. Now there's only 4 drivers ahead of Winstead here who are on older rubber, and as it stands, I think it's going to be Chad Winstead now with a very real opportunity at going for the lead with 50 laps to go. He's now built himself up, gotten through the drivers who are on much older rubber, and the next man to chase is going to be Kendall Kerr here, but he's got to get by quickly to Casey Heschel. Now the 21 trying to get up there in the mix with his teammate Alan Kunman. Kunman is much slower as well. The only 2 that have broken away now are Stagner and Tyler Hampton. Keep an eye out here for Chad Winstead because he's coming up quick, and Kunman gonna have really no choice perhaps to concede if this number 60 gets anywhere closer as they come around again for 48 laps to go.
It's about a second or so gap to Chad Winstead. He is cutting into this gap, though, but I don't know, David. I don't know if he's making up just enough time as these two are scooting away. They know that if they race each other, it's over. Chad Winstead will absolutely rip past these guys, and it might be over. Now, he is cutting into their lead, but how hard he's pushing it, he might be leaning on the tires a little too hard, a little too early. Now, before he gets into the lead, he still has one more layer of defense, and that is DJ Stagner. He's right on the back bumper of Tyler Hampton, and that's who Chad Winstead has to get through if he wants to even fight Tyler Hampton for the lead. And I don't know, if I was DJ Stagner, I'd go ahead and play blocker. You know, it's not a teammate in front of me, but I also don't want to lose this second spot coming up to this ending of the race. We've got about 45 laps left in this one here, and it's coming to a close. Tyler Hampton scooting away with DJ Stagner, and Chad Winstead cutting through the paces and gaining spots on his way up to the lead.
Tyler Hampton now going to see Stagners, the final line of defense, and Winstead. Not going to be an easy task for him to make this work, but keep in mind the tires are beginning to age for Chad as well. 13 laps of age now relative to DJ Stagner's 33. Still quite the difference, and it's been a very up and down night for Winstead. We said earlier he was not making any places, but ever since then he has been on the up and up. He just made it up in a second for the first time tonight, and if you look at the intervals, he has cut down 0.5 of a second on your leader within 4 laps. So Winstead is no joke, and from 16th, the lowest he was running, he now finds himself in second with 0.3 to spare until he makes it up to Tyler Hampton. But also look at Kendall Kerr, a driver who's made up about 0.6 of a second in the final 4 laps that we've gotten through, and he's just about as quick, maybe a little quicker relatively speaking, than Chad Winstead. Just having a little more trouble here with DJ Stagner. That's all, as Winstead now going to look down to the bottom side in your number 5 machine. 42 laps to go, and Chad Winstead now having an opportunity. He'll go down to the bottom groove here with Tyler Hampton holding his number 5 right up high. Looking down the backstretch, the difference will be through 3 and 4. Winstead with newer tires lunges deep. Winstead has that room, and it looks like he is clear for the first time all night long. The number 60 leads a lap. Chad Winstead on top.
Chad Winstead able to make up the spots and able to cut his way through. But don't give out hope for Tyler Hampton just yet. I have a feeling that if a caution comes out at the right time, he will be more set than anybody. And if these guys have a set left in front of him, oh boy, Tyler Hampton is going to be in for a treat as he works his way to try and cut through this field after maybe a caution comes out later, slides back into third, and loses a couple spots to Chad Winstead and Kendall Kerr. They were able to cut their way up through the field, and now here comes Roberto Ramirez as he tries to cut his way in the field as well. He makes his way up to fourth. Tyler Hampton slots back down to third, and the 2 leaders who were scooting away are now falling into the grasp of the main pack.
Now, a lot of drivers you might have not expected to fight for lead, but they're there now. Chad Winstead, Kendall Kerr, first and second. Ramirez looking for third. And all of a sudden, a lot of drivers we didn't predict to see up here made their way and are now fighting for the higher spots on the leaderboard. I think it's a bit of a surprise for a driver like Ramirez, of course, Dylan Poteet as well, and Corey Blevins is back in the mix. So we're seeing much different faces when all is set and done. Maybe the dominant guys of earlier are no longer going to be the drivers to look out for, but instead our later on surprises are the ones to go to watch out. As it stands though, with 38 laps to go, coming down to only 37, Winstead without a doubt in the best place he's been all night long.
Caution's out again! The caution is out again on lap 114, and David, I think I may have called that one. Tyler Hampton most definitely going to come down pit road, take 4 tires. Oh man, this race got exciting.
Connor Holden going to be the cause of that incident here in the number 81. So taking a look back with he and Scott Zellner, you're looking now overhead at Richmond Raceway, going through turn 3 and 4. It's going to be Holden looking to get the gas down on Zellner. Contact, and Holden ends up sliding down to the apron. He doesn't end up going down there entirely. Going to be a safety yellow flag. Caution is out once again. So with that being said, we are pacing once more, and it's going to be some late race troubles, which could be all the difference. 35 laps to go when we come around next time by. Winstead going to lead him down and in, and you're right about that. Just about everyone's going to be making it through the great equalizer. This race is going to look much, much different after the caution as everyone sets to go down to pit road. Just like that, with the exception of Dylan Poteet, we've got ourselves a full field down to the pits.
And Tyler Hampton knows he has to have a good pit stop if he wants to come out on top here. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be tough. Our top 10 has been about the same, if not moved around, for the majority of this race. But it's all into the hands of Hampton now. If he wants to come out with a prime position, more than likely has to have a great pit stop here. As we're going to watch him now throughout the rest of this pit stop, it's going to be, it's a mix-up down pit road. The winner off pit road, Roberto Ramirez, it's Kendall Kerr, followed by Jimmy McKee in the mix as well. Tyler Hampton, then it's Roberto Ramirez, Corey Blevins, DJ Stagner, Alan Kunman, Casey Heschel, Adam Bozzi, and Lucas Lodato there. Those are the main winners off pit road. And let me tell you, I was not expecting Jimmy McKee in the mix as well.
So Jimmy McKee continues that uphill climb that we mentioned previously. I mean, as it stands, he's running up in 7th. His previous high was 8th. And with that being said, 34 laps to go for the driver of the 48. And now looking better than ever to maybe go for that race win. Perhaps an opportunity here that we didn't expect previously. 4 drivers opted not to go down and in. And those include Dylan Wedgwood, Kenny Brooks, Scott Zellner, and Dylan Poteet. Not a large group here by any means, but they're going to be doing something different, which may lead to some success for them. We're going to find out whether or not it's really the right thing to do to stay out on the track. Perhaps it's preferable for their strategy call. They might be expecting another yellow flag, and they want to stay out there and to defend their track position. The risk, very few people taking. We're going to find out whether or not it's worth it. Yellow flag number 3. We're coming down with only 33 laps to go, so we're really coming down to the ending stage of this race. Maybe there's an opportunity for Dylan Poteet and company to do something different and break the mold. I am quite skeptical, admittedly. Maybe not the right thing to do.
And a lot of people are going to be skeptical about their pit road choices now, as everything falls into the hands of fate. Lap 118 out of 150. This race is coming to an end, David, and it's going to be an exciting way to end this race. All of our former leaders have been shuffled back. Tyler Hampton, who was once leading a majority of the second half of this race, down to 8th, if you'd even believe me. Dylan Poteet over Scott Zellner, Kenny Brooks, Dylan Wedgwood, Chad Winstead, Kendall Kerr, Jimmy McKee, Tyler Hampton, Roberto Ramirez, and Corey Blevins, your top 10. Whether or not all of these guys have been in the top 10 for most of this run, but now it is absolutely mixed up more than it ever was, David.
And we're going to get to it this time by, and it's going to be, once again, green flag racing, 31 laps to go. Dylan Poteet going to be at the top of the board right now in the Menards, number 31. Pace car is going to drop down and in, and green flag will fly. Only 4 drivers set to stay on the field without going down a pit road. This yellow, and Dylan Poteet leads them back to green. Nice jump for the 31. They're 3 abreast behind. How long will Dylan last? That's the question. And we got
Yellow
trouble already.
again.
Casey Heschel and
Trouble.
company. Yellow flag is out again. Casey Heschel among many others involved, and the caution is out. As soon as we got back green, we saw it happen, and we are under pacing once again. Here's an instant replay. We're going to find out what in particular caused it.
Man, David, this race is starting to get into the hands of good old Richmond short track racing. And a lot of these guys getting more aggressive now as we fall within the last 30 laps of this race. Everyone is going to try and turn on the jets because they all want to come home in victory lane at Richmond, no less.
Was Casey Heschel. It looked like a piece there from Andrew Baker as well, and Brad Kress barely swoops out of it. Same goes for Scott Wheeler. Just like that, caution is out again with 29 laps to go. So back-to-back yellows for the first time tonight, and we are now going to be under pacing yet again. The question becomes, how long is this strategy going to work out for Dylan Poteet and company, the drivers who have opted to prefer staying out on the older tires and sort of banking on this opportunity, expecting for this circumstance to last longer. Now they're getting it. What's it going to take to prevail given the circumstances?
Well, given the circumstances, David, these late race yellows are going to kind of fall into the hands of everyone else, but some of the people who want to run away with this, as some of these guys really just kind of want to run it to the end. Now, a couple people who did gain some spots on that restart, Tyler Hampton gained a spot, Jimmy McKee gained a spot, and some of these guys moving up is now putting more of a threat to Dylan Poteet. But that's someone we haven't mentioned. Dylan Poteet's going to love this yellow because that keeps the distance from him and new tires even shorter. Between these guys, it's going to be less time they have to try and run down the leaders. So Dylan Poteet and company is so happy that this yellow came out, ever extending their lead and their chance at coming home today with the race win.
28 laps to go on a 30-lap stint. It's going to be nearly half and half split if Dylan Poteet tries to pull it off all the way. Right now, Chad Winstead, Jimmy McKee are 4th and 5th, making 5th and 6th with Kenny Brooks' presence. And they're getting closer and closer to making it through the seal, but not enough time on that immediate restart jump. So as such, they're still going to be behind all the drivers on the older set of rubber. Toby Wedgwood looks to be your only retiree for tonight. We do not see him on the track right now. We'll keep you updated with that circumstance as all 26 drivers are within 3 laps of the race leader. Even still, 27 laps to go. We're going to be at the green flag again, 25 remaining, and going to be a very, very quick sprint to the finish. 25 laps here in Richmond. It flies, and it will come back at you like it's nothing. We've gone through now a majority of this race. Dylan Poteet going to go lunging down low just slightly. Nothing too crazy there, but Scott Zellner is going to stay up top, and he will wait just a bit longer. What's an opportunity for him here? That's what remains to be seen. Up top, it's going to be Dylan Poteet, and he is going to be way high. Now he's got a choice. Top side or low. Going to be 1 lap to green. Is there room to make it down low for Dylan? Yes, there is. He'll take Dylan Wedgwood with him. It's a Dylan and Dylan show on the bottom. Scott Zellner and Kenny Brooks up top.
And that's a no-brainer right there, David. As the leader, you want to take that low side lane. Get the best launch. Get the prime lane before anyone else has a chance to take it from you. You can start on the top, and if you get a good start, maybe able to edge out, but that bottom lane has so many more advantages, especially off a restart like this.
Set up for another restart with 25 laps to go. Getting down to the tail end of this race, we're going to figure out who's got what it takes in Richmond. So let's get right back into it. Pace car is going to drop in. It's going to be Dylan Poteet at the top of the board. Green flags out, and then from there, a huge shuffle. The 31 machine gets bogged down big, takes Ramirez almost entirely out with them, and same goes for Dylan Wedgwood. Zellner's going to lead. We've got chaos all over. Caution's out again.
Cautions out again. Chaos all over the track, and Richmond is really playing its hands dirty now as the short track slogan more or less is now coming into effect. Biggest mover on that, once again, Tyler Hampton made up 3 spots, is now up to 4th. If stuff keeps falling in his place, David, I'm telling you, he is more than a threat for this win.
Roberto Ramirez, Dylan Poteet involved, and then from there you see even more trouble as we pass by. See Ty Smith, Brad Kress, and DJ Stagner, and they had a second incident, so we're going to find out what in particular led to this part of it. Big trouble there, and you can see once more what caused it. It's a number 64 machine on the bottom side. Then from there, as they get going, it's a stack up. It looks like with Winstead, then Hampton, then Ramirez, then it's going to tag Winstead to send him spinning, and then DJ Stagner catches a piece going up into Ty Smith. Just like that, contact, Brad Kress involved, and we are still going to see some trouble here with 23 laps remaining.
Well, I'll tell you, David, I accidentally went on board with Tyler Hampton, and I learned the fact he was clutching under caution. So, surely they have enough to make it. They've had this many yellows, but then that would beg the question, why is Tyler Hampton clutching under yellow? Did he fuel up his car just enough to try and make it to the end to gain as many spots on pit road, and now he finds himself in the top 4? We may see that come up later.
Speaking of that pit road, perhaps dilemma, we're going to see some drivers make it down and in once again, but not all too many. Scott Zellner, your race leader with 22 laps to go. We go back green this time by. We're going to crank it up courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com, the leading iRacing provider in cameras for any iRacing broadcast network, and we'd love to have you join the fun if you're an iRacing broadcaster. Check out TrackCams22.com for over 100 car and track combinations. They are the best place to go with the best prices, or Facebook.com/TrackCams. We'll be cranking it up when we go back green. It's 22 to go right now, so we'd like to shout them out for the first time. And once we get back at what looks to be the 20 lap to go marker, we're going to get loud and going to be a sight to see here. Scott Zellner, your defending champion in the number 1. He is your race leader and finds himself up in front there with Jimmy McKee and then Tyler Hampton. 1, 2, 3. Go again here. We are under caution, 130 laps in, and it's going to be now a final dash of only 20 laps. Really going to be all about whether or not these drivers can hold on as we're starting to see attrition come into play. The late race scuffles are becoming more and more frequent. Maybe now Zellner's got a chance here, but he's on a much older set of tire, 35 laps that is, and for Dylan Wedgwood, he's going to be down on pit road, so bad news there. As you can see, Zellner coming around this time by. We are going to make it 1 lap to green, led by the number 1.
Scott Zellner over Jimmy McKee, Tyler Hampton, and Kendall Kerr. That's your top 4. And I'm here to tell you, David, this race has been exciting here pretty much from start to finish. A couple of cautions now spicing it up in the end. And this top 4 is for certain going to fight tooth and nail for that win. But the man who's the most hungry, the man we've been talking about all night, the 5 car of Tyler Hampton. He wants this win more than anybody to solidify a good championship run. It takes a win on the season, and he is in prime position, second on the inside. I think he may do it, David.
Zellner going to be the man who leads the way with Jimmy McKee right up top. Your defending champion for the first time in a position to maybe get the race win. Green flag's out yet again, and we are back on the move. Zellner out in front, and we're getting back at it. Let's crank it up with 19 laps remaining. Yellow flag is out again, and all of a sudden this race is taking such a different turn from what we saw in the first 100 laps. Yellow flag is out again, so let's find out what caused it. And we are once again, indeed, under pacing. Caution out here. You see drivers getting away from it, and yellow flag waving in the air. You can see big trouble for a majority of the pack here, and we're trying to find out who in particular was involved. One man is going down a pit road right now, might give us a clue, and that looks to be Terry Brooks, so let's take it back and find out. Maybe he was involved in this incident as the yellow flag is out yet again indeed here, so there's an instant replay. It's going to tell us the story because with 70 to go, Brooks going to be down on the bottom side, making it down and in. That looks to be a bit too late. Now, here's a much better look at the incident at hand. Brooks is going to be there with Connor Holden and Scott Wheeler. They're making it down the front straightaway with not much issue. Holden is going to go down and in. It starts with Kendall Kerr. Kerr is going to spin and slide. That tags Brooks, and as such, he gets into Lucas Lodato, makes contact there. 16 laps to go, and we are once again under caution.
Well, David, I mean, like I said, short track racing, these guys are going to get aggressive. I didn't think they were going to get this aggressive, but I'll tell you what, in making for an exciting race, so I'm all here for it. And my pick to win this race is now up to second, so I couldn't be more happy.
16 laps to go, so when we come back green, it should be about 13, and that's really going to be about 4 laps of, or rather 4 or 5 minutes of racing to finish this one off. That goes to show how much time we've kind of burned under caution. Unfortunate because you've had now multiple retirees, Chad Winstead and Toby Wedgwood. In addition, right now, Ty Smith and Andrew Baker right now. I'm going to be 3 laps down, and Dylan Poteet more of the same. So we're losing drivers slowly but surely. It's becoming a night of attrition here. Top 3, it's Zellner, Hampton, and Jimmy McKee, and Alan Cummins then in 4th. One driver we haven't mentioned since the earlier portion of this race is Corey Blevins. Now, right now, it's that 24 machine that runs in 5th, led some laps early, but it hasn't been since the first 35. 16 of 136 laps led. Those all came in the earliest portion of this race. So if Corey Blevins wants to run things back, definitely an opportunity to do so right now on the exact same stint as the drivers ahead of him. As such, 15 to go, the dying laps, and all of your old contenders are coming back up, looking to give it one more chance. Getting back green with a baker's dozen to do it here, if not less. It looks like we're going to have exactly 12 to go. Zellner, Hampton, McKee, Blevins, and of course Allen coming there in fourth. It's a top 5 sandwich between Blevins and McKee. And all of a sudden, it is going to be a very short sprint. If it wasn't already, it's really going to be a final lap dash to get that checkered flag.
Well, these guys in these last 15 or so laps of the race, it's going to be a tough one, David. Richmond strikes again, and another caution comes out. Short track racing at its finest. Couple of incidents now, but it's led us to a caution and a mix-up of the top 4. Now, Zellner leads over Hampton and Jimmy McKee. Alan Cunman there in fourth as well. And I'll tell you, David, this has really come down to the wire.
And getting down to the very end of it all, it's going to be Scott Zellner and Tyler Hampton, your front row. 12 to go here, and it's more than likely your guys up in front of a better chance. But take a look at Adam Bozzi right now in that 27. Just flashed by our screen, and we noticed something. His back end is gone. He has no rear bumper right now. So despite the troubles, Bozzi is still up here inside of the top 10, and maybe an opportunity for him to get this win. All things considered, he's still in the mix and might just give it all he's got here. Going to be 12 laps to do it, a dozen remaining. The pace car's in. Zellner going to get the jump. Green flag's out, and we are back underway.
Scott Zellner charging away over Tyler Hampton. The rest of the field follows in tow. That 5 machine now looks up to the higher lane's going to cut back down. No, he isn't actually. He's going to stay on that right rear quarter panel of Scott Zellner. He's going to get the run. People scraping the wall, but it's not over yet. He wants the lead, and he wants it now. He's going to ride on that outside lane as they're wrecking behind. They're side by side, and there's another big one there in turn 1. And the one of Scott Zellner will keep the lead over Tyler Hampton.
Yellow flag is out. Dylan Petit, Andrew Baker, Brad Crest, among others involved. Here's a look once again. We are heading now to what will be 8 laps to go, I believe. It looks like Smith going to give a push there to Dylan Petit. That sends Dylan up for the first time and then goes loose into the front straightaway. He keeps it together for now. Then Stagner sends it in on Ty Smith. Smith is not going to be in the proper spot. He brings it up to Dylan Petit. Brad Crest involved as well. Andrew Baker barely dives out the way. And we are under caution. Once again, 141 laps in, and we have gotten to just about the very end of this, no matter what happens. Fortunately, another caution, the second half of this race marred by yellow flags after a completely green first stint, and Scott Zellner, so close to losing that lead, retains it thanks to the caution coming out at just the right time.
Well, the caution coming out at just the right time for Scott Zellner. He was under fire from Tyler Hampton, and it's been a close race between these two. But I know the hungriest man on this field is sitting in second spot. He wants to make that good charge on the season, good finishing spots already. A win would only add to the tally. He wants to strike a fear in this field that he is ready to charge and to win the championship. And what better way to solidify your charge for the championship win than getting a win at Richmond? He was so close in Iowa, came up second, does not want to be the bridesmaid again here in Richmond, Virginia.
9 to go. Hampton going to be there in second, you mentioned. Jimmy McKee and Alan Cumman, the Blacktop Racing teammates, are going to be third and fourth, respectively. These two drivers representing SP Designs, you never know if they're going to start playing the team game here with such a little amount of laps remaining. 7 to go this time by as we come across the stripe. We're going to be coming back to green with that 7 lap to go marker, although actually no, the lights come back on the pace car, so we'll extend this caution slightly, and then we'll go back green with 6 laps left. It's going to be a 6-lap dash from this point on. It's going to be especially short for every one of these drivers, notably the ones who are fighting for the lead. And the question becomes, maybe is there even enough time to get a move for the lead done? Or does Scott Zellner have it exactly where it needs to be to secure and solidify his spot as the race winner. Coming around this time by 1 lap to go for what could be the final restart of the day. Zellner goes high, Hampton low, Jimmy McKee takes the bottom, and Alan Kunman looks to take high, setting up once again your control cars on the high side. And we are going to get ready to go for 6 more laps.
I don't know about that call, David. Going to the top, it's a bold move. Just shows how much confidence you have in your restart abilities. And tell you what, Tyler Hampton now having access to that low lane, going to do him much better than that top lane was. He almost made the move had he been given the time. But I'm sure he'll be able to do just fine on that bottom side lane. We'll see what he is able to do on this restart.
Zellner getting through this time by as the control car with Hampton getting the bottom side down low. Nice jump there for your race leader, and at the line, 6 laps remain. We're back underway in the home stretch of Richmond.
Close battle between the 5 of Tyler Hampton and Scott Zellner for the race lead. Here comes Alan Kunman in the 4 as well. We might have a 3-way battle going for the lead. Coming across the line, 5 laps to go. As we cross the stripe, and Tyler Hampton looks to take the lead, gets tight on the bottom, hits the apron, gets a shove there from the number 48. That's Jimmy McKee, as they are 2 wide, 2 files there as well for the race lead. Scott Zellner on that outside lane, unable to keep up with Tyler Hampton. He now has the edge going into turn 1. These guys have been side by side this entire time as they now go 3 wide for the race lead. They're going to be 3 wide for second as Jimmy McKee slides up, gets loose, and saves the race car. Tyler Hampton now is in the lead.
It's going to be Hampton's advantage now with 4 laps to go. McKee now going to be the driver running in third as Scott Zellner gets passed repeatedly. Now he's going to be fading back big time with 3 laps remaining. Alan Kunman going to be up in front in the number 4 car. He's the man who's let off to chase the number 5. It's going to be now Hampton with the advantage of 0.2 of a second. We'll find out whether or not that's enough to hold on with 2 laps to go. Hampton going to hold himself up to the top of the racetrack here, and Kunman's going to have to give it all he's got. Looking down low on the back bumper of the number 5.
Caution! Trouble! They wreck in the back of the pack. Caution out with 2 laps to go, and it's going to be a green-white checkered. Lucas Lodato not happy over the radio. He was involved as well. I heard someone spinning, and then I heard crashing. They wreck in the back, and this isn't exactly what Tyler Hampton wanted, but he still has an opportunity to come home with the win. Just has to solidify a good restart on a green-white checkered, and Terry Brooks is destroyed.
Looks like both Stagner and Holden ended up in the wall and destroyed. You see Brooks also there, going to be decimated, and another incident with 2 laps to go. In Highline Racing League rule, we only have 1 green-white checkered extension, so this is it, no matter what. We've gotten to the end of the race, and even though we're going past lap 150, we have come down to the point of no return. Alex, we've gotten here now. Hampton's the leader, and it is going to be the SP Designs duo right behind in Kunman and McKee. What's it going to take now as we are set to go 2 laps to green very soon?
Well, for Tyler Hampton's point of view, no matter what, he wants to get the best restart he possibly can. Getting that gap to Alan Kunman is going to be the key, no matter what. As we are at the point of no return, it's going to be all down to these last couple laps here on this green-white checkered. And it's all going to be down to Tyler Hampton, Alan Kunman, and Jimmy McKee. These 3 were battling it out across the top 4. Scott Zellner as well, he slides back into 5th. But out of any possible way or any possible strategy to come home with the win, if you're in the lead, maximize the restart. That's what you have to do to come home in this race in victory lane. Richmond is a tough track to master. And I'll tell you what, Tyler Hampton has been the closest to mastering Richmond we've seen in a minute. He's led a good chunk of the laps here, leads some more under yellow, has led these last couple of cautions, able to get the lead, and now he is sitting pretty. Just has 1 green-white checkered to manage, and man, if I was in his seat, I'd be a little nervous.
Hampton with that advantage is going to be running on the bottom side right now, so 2 laps of green flag racing at the very most. If we have a yellow flag, the race ends then and there, results are frozen, and the checkered flag will be displayed immediately thereafter. Going to be all about the next flag ending the race no matter what. Now Hampton goes down to the bottom side. It's going to be coming right up top, and now time to figure out who's going to have the best placement here as we are now going down with 2 laps to go up next. Alex, we're just about to get into it. It's Hampton and McKee head to head. You got any final thoughts before we get into the very, very most intense portion of this race?
Like I said, the key, David, Tyler Hampton in that restart. He has to absolutely make sure he gets away, doesn't spin the tires, and if he can at all prevent the run that Kunman is going to try and get, and he just has to start as best as he possibly can.
Now time to figure out who gets that start. Keep in mind, next flag ends this race. Checkers or wreckers. Green flag's out with Hampton getting the jump, and it's immediately going to be Kunman slotting right back in. 2 laps to go now, and it's going to be Kunman making it right up to Tyler Hampton's bumper, gives him a quick shove, and they're 2 by 2 heading down the back straightaway. Hampton going to stay right now in the race lead, but Alan Kunman having none of it, getting closer and closer each time by. White flag out this time through. 1 lap to go. Kunman going to look low, but get blocked quickly. That's going to send Hampton into a frenzy and quickly block Alan Kunman once again. 2 more turns to do it now, and the number 5 machine's got the lead, but Kunman, oh so close, is going to get right up there to him. Clean air for Tyler Hampton as he comes across 3 and 4 this time by. Kunman to the wall, and the checkered flag collected by Tyler Hampton. The 5 holds on for a green-white checkered, and Hampton will win from Alan Kunman and Jimmy McKee. Blacktop Racing takes the rest of the podium as the number 5 makes it to victory lane.
And I was telling you, David, Tyler Hampton going to want to do everything he can to come home with the race win, and that's nothing short of what he did tonight. Led a majority of this race and took the lead and took the flag and led the lap that mattered.
Leading 41 of 156 laps on the day, Tyler Hampton dominant late and dominant when it mattered. Checkered flag is his, and he's going to burn it down here in the virtual Richmond Raceway as results are still unofficial, and of course, final calculations coming right up. Hampton celebrating as he returns to victory lane, and he's already not going to be worried with 2 consecutive seasons. He's gotten at least 1 win, and this is his first full-time campaign, and he's looking to keep himself on the points battle as he's going to get back to partying. Looks like he's going to go right back in the grass, slide in, and end the night of celebration. Tyler Hampton's going to be a race winner by a 1/10 of a second over Jimmy McKee there in the runner-up spot. It looks like it's going to be McKee recalculated to 3rd as Alan Kunman comes in 2nd position. 4th is going to be Corey Blevins with Scott Wheeler then in 5th, and Tyler Snyder in 6th with Adam Bozzi 7th and Scott Wheeler then 8th. Kenny Brooks position number 9. Casey Heschel is going to be 10th spot to round out the top 10 just within 2 seconds of the 5.
Well, David, Tyler Hampton had an absolutely phenomenal race here tonight. Is able to come home with the win, and let me tell you, he played his strategy perfect down to the line.
11th place going to be Roberto Ramirez, 12th Lucas Lodato, 13th Jacob Hom, and 14th then going to be Kendall Kerr with 15th position Brad Crest. It's going to be Dylan Wedgwood 16th with Colton Gardner 17th spot, 1 lap down, and then from there these are all drivers who are at least down. Dylan Petit 18th, Ty Smith 19th, and Andrew Baker in 20th. 21st then being Connor Holden, 22nd Terry Brooks, DJ Stagner 23rd, and Matthew Rodriguez the 24th spot. Out of this race, Winstead and Toby Wedgwood 25th and 26th respectively. That being said, drivers making it around, and it looks like the cool down laps are complete, so we'll get some words with your top 3 drivers today, and the first of which we're going to speak to is the number 48 machine of Jimmy McKee. He'll come home third on the day and make himself known with a podium finish, so let's get him in right now, and let's, of course, hear from the driver that got it done in third. Jimmy McKee for Blacktop Racing. It's a podium finish, and we got him in the broadcast booth right now. Up and down day, making it happen though for a top 3. And Jimmy McKee, what a day it was. From 14th on the grid to 3rd, biggest mover inside the podium. It looks like the biggest mover all race long. Everything seemed to work out, getting that track position. And when things got a little tricky behind you, you already have that position to fall back on. Checkered flag flies, and you come home 3rd here in Richmond. What's it like with a podium?
I will take it because I was slower than dog crap in practice. So really happy to have some strategy work out for us. And I hate what happened when Poteet, he blinked out and cost everybody, but it worked out for me to scoot on by and get into the top 3.
And just able to make it in there at the podium with that final run. So dominant the past 30 laps were with all those caution laps. So really tricky to make those moves. However, you're slowly but surely able to make those passes up. And the first half of the race, no yellows. Ever since that point on, it was a much different event. So you think you were benefiting more from that yellow flag frenzy we saw?
I think so, especially when some people stayed out and we went in and got tires. And I saw that Chad Winstead took 2 tires and eventually found himself to the lead. So when that caution, one of the other billion of cautions came out, chose to come in and get 2 right sides, and it worked out.
Everything worked out in regards to your strategy there. Keeping it up with your teammate Alan Cummin. We saw the SP Designs machines up ahead and getting to the podium there for Blacktop Racing, looking good with a solid 2-3 performance. You think there's anything the team game could have played into the nice race, or was it just an individual's race, every man for himself?
Probably just every man for himself. I know Alan, he runs really well here. I was hoping he and Hampton got side by side and we could make something happen out of it, but didn't happen. I would have been happy if Alan just got by him, get a team win, and get some momentum. But good run for all of us. So happy with the way the race ended. I'm glad it's over.
And with a solid performance tonight, Jimmy McKee, you come home here in 3rd. Is there anyone else you'd like to shout out after tonight's race?
I just appreciate y'all for the broadcast as always. And Dylan Body, he makes awesome paint schemes. Alan's car, my car, and Kendall's car all look pretty good. So shout out to him.
Like that, Jimmy McKee rounds out the podium and pulls through with a 3rd place finish. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Jimmy McKee on the move. We're going to bring in next the second half, and the one who finished higher in this 2-3 finish for the SP Designs crew at Blacktop Racing. It's Alan Cummin, similar paint scheme, similar finish, a podium there for the number 4. And Cummin, tonight, you come home 2nd here, right ahead of your teammate, no so close to victory lane. How was it out there in Richmond?
It was good. First run was good. Green light or 70 laps of green flag. After that, after the first pit stop, car tightened up a little bit with the new tires. I guess with all the rubber being laid down. So that was about the highlight of the race. Second half wasn't the greatest. I can call out some names, but I'm not going to.
And we saw that big difference between the first and second halves there. You had a good run going, of course, leading so many laps in that first half, and then it became much trickier to get back up there for the second. So what was it like adapting as the race progressed to still keep yourself up in the top 3 despite all the trials and tribulations?
Yeah, just trying my best to pick the right line on the choose with all the restarts we had there at the end. The one where I don't know what happened. The inside lane stacked up and we gained like 5 or 6 spots. So that helped out a lot for sure on finishing second. We just got some stuff to work on.
That being said, it was you and Tyler Hampton going for the race win at the tail end with that green-white checkered. You think you had anything there for him you might have been able to pull off to perhaps get the win?
Yeah, I did for sure. The green-white checkered and the couple laps before that last caution came out, I had something for him for sure. Just didn't get a chance to do it.
That being said, Alan, coming tonight is before we move on to our next event in Fontana. Yet any final messages for us?
It's been an up and down season so far for me personally. But I appreciate you guys putting it on for us every Thursday, and that's about it. Oh, appreciate Scott Puckett and Dylan Body letting me run this badass paint scheme. Glad I was able to put it on the pole at least for him and give it a runner-up finish.
Another successful run for the Body Shop crew, of course. It's going to be SP Designs and Body Shop representing the third and second place drivers, respectively. Alan Cummin, you come home second. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Alan coming on the move. We got one more driver to speak to, the number 5 who gets it done tonight, Tyler Hampton, who collects the checkered flag here in Richmond. Alex standing by with your race winner, Tyler Hampton.
Tyler Hampton, you really make that charge for the championship and solidifying that with a win here in Richmond. You're able to come home in the first place position, now no longer being the bridesmaid. How's it feel to get that win this season?
It feels good to get that monkey off the back finally. Been close, but I've been kind of inconsistent this year, so this track I was a little worried about. So I got a lot of practice in this week, and I'm glad it finally fell my way.
I want to get to know how you were feeling when you were sitting about that 8th spot with 30 laps to go. You had a mountain to climb, and maybe some cars fell in your favor, but you eventually came out on top. What were you thinking sitting 8th with 30 laps to go?
I figured if I could get up to top 5, I was going to be happy with that. I figured I could pick off a couple of them, and that would be that. But I caught a break when I don't remember who was leading it, but when he lagged out and it stacked up that inside line, I was able to get to the middle and get by them and picked up 3 or 4 spots. So that helped me out tremendously. And then it was just trying to pick them off one at a time from there.
Well, we saw both sides of Richmond, the clean and green and the messy and yellow. Caution out more times in the second half than the entirety of the first half by a wide margin. What do you think played into that?
Just short track racing and getting down towards the end. At the beginning, everybody gives each other room, but when it gets down to the end, it's kind of cutthroat and there's no more give and take. It's just all take. And I think that's what we've seen there at the end of it.
Well, you come home in first place. And, what a great win for you in solidifying a charge for the championship. Is there anything else you'd like to say or anyone else you'd like to thank?
Thank you, boys, for what you guys do. And thank Kendall for giving me the invite. And it was a blast. I'm ready for next week. And I'm looking forward to Auto Club. I'm pretty good there, I'd like to think. So we'll see if we can make it 2 in a row.
Well, congratulations on the race win. Thank you so much for your time. And once again, congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
Tyler Hampton out of the broadcast booth. You've just heard from our top 3 drivers today, and they go as follows. Jimmy McKee in 3rd, Alan Cummin then in 2nd, and Tyler Hampton, who gets it done here from the virtual Richmond Raceway. At the end of it all, 150 laps of racing, and the checkered flag will fly. It was a pretty momentous race. We had green flag runs, quite a few yellows at the end, and an overtime finish to send us into the light, of course. Checkered flag, which we saw a fierce battle between some of the best in this field, and we move on to Fontana next. I'm expecting even more great racing. You have any final thoughts, Alex, to wrap this one off?
Well, we saw an exciting ending there. A few cautions being thrown. Everybody started to want to get up in the mix. And, kind of led down to a really exciting race in the end, but I don't know how happy this field's going to be. But I'm glad we were able to see both sides of Richmond, the clean and green and then sort of the messy ending. What we saw in the end was purely just Richmond. Short track racing. You're probably going to get it at some place like Bristol too. And it's just the nature of the way the track is. It incentivizes trying to send it in and, getting all the positions you can in the end. But you know what? I think that was a great race.
And a fantastic performance put on by each and every one of these drivers tonight. And once again, for those of you watching, this has been a presentation from the virtual Richmond Raceway, the Holden Weiners 150. We'd like you to, of course, once again, stop by next Thursday for our coverage in Fontana. And with that being said, you're watching the Highline Racing League Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series. We hope to have you again watching throughout the remainder of the season. And we thank Westlake Royal Building Products for their continued support of the Highline Racing League. I've been David Kreutz alongside Alexander Balderas for tonight's event, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's racing. And got many more races coming up with this series. Next up, we're going to be live on FTN Saturday night with the Saturday Night Thunder Grand National Series, so stay tuned for that. And if you don't want to miss it, be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for your continued support, and we hope to see you whenever we're live again on FTN.